What's up, ladies and gentlemen? In today's video, I want to talk about whether you should finance or lease the Tesla CyberTruck all-wheel drive. Now, in my opinion, you should definitely lease this truck, but I'll explain why over the course of this video. So in the first part of this video, what we're going to do is go to the Tesla website and we'll kind of look at the lease deal in detail. We'll talk about the monthly payment, the mileage allowance, the due at signing amount, the taxes and fees that are due at signing, all of that nitty-gritty stuff to help you make the best financial decision. In the second part of this video, what we'll do is run my 1.25% rule of leasing on this Tesla CyberTruck, and I'll show you why it's a good lease deal in terms of value. And then in the third part of this video, what we'll do is we'll compare the monthly finance cost over 24 months to the monthly lease costs over 24 months, and I'll show you why leasing this Tesla CyberTruck makes a lot of financial sense. And if you haven't already, please be sure to check out my car insurance shopping tool, which is linked in the description below or in the link in my bio, depending on which platform you're watching this video. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into the computer behind me and talk about the Tesla CyberTruck lease. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are on the Tesla website. And as you can see here on the right-hand side, I have lease selected, and you can lease this Tesla CyberTruck all-wheel drive for $799 a month. There's a $5,000 required down. This is a cash down payment. It's a 36-month lease that allows for 10,000 miles a year. Now, as you can see, as I scroll down, I haven't selected any other options. Like, for example, you can go with the Cyber wheels, which are an additional $3,500. I'm going to keep everything as standard, not change the interior color, and not add full self-driving. So let's go ahead and scroll back up and click on where it says edit lease terms and savings. And I love the Tesla calculator because it really does a great job of providing you with all of the details and provides you with a lot of transparency. I'm going to go ahead and make this a bit bigger so it's easier for all of you to see. As you can see, we already covered the monthly payment, $799. The down payment is $5,000. The term is 36 months, and 36 months is the way to go because if we do a 24-month lease, the payment jumps to $1,119. So no thank you on that. The annual mileage, it comes with 10,000 miles a year. If you want to do 12 or 15,000 miles a year, obviously the payment is going to increase. But if you know you drive 12 or 15,000 miles a year, I highly suggest that you just pay for it up front. As you can see, if you go to 12,000 miles a year, the payment jumps $20. Otherwise, you're going to end up spending a lot more money in overage penalties. As you can see here, it's 25 cents per mile for each mile that you go over. So it's much cheaper to just get the 12 or 15,000 miles a year up front rather than pay the excess mileage penalty. But let's go ahead and revert this back to 10,000 miles a year. As you can see here, I don't have the gas savings checkbox selected, but I am going to check this box that says include estimated taxes and fees. And this is awesome because what it's going to do is include your registration fees, acquisition fees, your first month's payment, and all taxes that you owe on rebates. And it's going to give it all in here and give you an all-in due at signing amount of $8,250. Now remember, this $5,000 right here is just a cash down payment. A lot of people assume that that's all you have to put down to lease this Cybertruck, but it's not including taxes and fees. With taxes and fees, you're looking at $8,250. Another thing I want to mention is that if you have military first responder, teacher, or student purchase program, you can get another $1,000 off. If you have the Lyft driver purchase program, you can get a $1,000 Tesla credit. You guys can go ahead and look at those details. I'm not going to cover that in this video. But another thing that I do want to mention here is that if you want to buy this Tesla Cybertruck at the end of the lease term, you can buy it for $56,570. There's a huge misconception out there that anytime you lease, you're essentially renting the car, but you're not, right? You have the option to buy this truck at the end of the lease term. Whether you choose to do so or not is really up to you, and whether that makes financial sense is up to you, but you do have the option to buy this truck at the end of the lease term. Now, another thing that I do want to mention here is this $8,250 that's due at signing. You should try to negotiate this down. Maybe you can get away with $4,000 or $5,000 down and just roll the rest of that, $3,000 or $4,000 into the monthly payment. You want to put the least amount of money down on a lease as possible. I'm not sure if Tesla is going to negotiate this number, but it doesn't hurt to ask and it doesn't hurt to try. Now, in this part of the video, what I want to do is run my 1.25% rule of leasing on this Tesla CyberTruck. Now, with my 1.25% rule of leasing, what you do is take the zero down effective monthly payment and divide it by the vehicle's MSRP. And anytime you get a number over 1.5%, that means that vehicle probably makes more sense to finance instead of lease. If you're under 1.5%, that's what I consider a good lease deal in terms of value. Under 1.25% is a great lease deal in terms of value, and under 1% is an amazing lease deal in terms of value. And pretty much what this is a value metric, because two $50,000 cars, for example, can have very different monthly lease payments, right? One could have a $500 monthly payment with $0 down. One could have a $900 monthly payment with $0 down. And the $500 one monthly payment represents a much better value, right? Because with leases, there are many things to consider, right? There's a discount, there's a rebates, there's a residual that comes directly from the manufacturer, and there's a money factor. So depending on those factors, two $50,000 cars can have a very different monthly payment in terms of leasing. So let's go ahead and run my 1.25% rule of leasing on this Tesla CyberTruck. So the first thing we're going to do is take the $8,250, which is the total due at signing amount, and from that, we're going to subtract the monthly payment of $892, since this $892 monthly payment is included in the due at signing amount. First month's payment's included in the due at signing amount, and when we do that, we get $7,358. Now, we'll divide this by 36 to break this into 36 equal parts, since it's a 36-month lease, and that gives you $204, and then what we're going to do is add the monthly payment of $892 back in, and that gives us a zero down effective monthly payment of $1,096. Now we'll divide this by this vehicle's MSRP, which is $79,900. And that gives me 0.0137. I'll multiply this by 100 to make it a percentage, and that gives me 1.37%. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as you may remember, anytime you get a number under 1.5%, that's what I consider a good lease deal in terms of value. And this Tesla CyberTruck definitely meets that threshold, coming in under 1.5% at 1.37%. All right, so in this part of the video, what I want to do is compare the monthly lease payments to the monthly finance payments. So I had to increase the down payment to do an apples to apples comparison. So as you can see here, on the lease, the total due at signing amount is $9,016, and that gives us a monthly payment of $868 a month. Now, if I were to finance this truck, assuming the same $9,016 down, assuming a 72-month loan term and an APR of 5.54%, and assuming you qualify for the $7,500 EV tax credit, the federal tax credit, your monthly payment is going to be $1,225 a month, compared to $868 a month. So huge difference there, and that's that's assuming that you qualify for the $7,500 EV tax credit. And if you don't qualify for the $7,500 EV tax credit, your payment's going to jump up to $1,348. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can see how the 36-month total out-of-pocket cost really adds up here. So if we take this $1,348 and subtract it by the monthly lease payment, which is $868, so $868, and multiply this by 36. By financing this car, you're going to be paying roughly $17,280 more over a 36-month term. And plus, when you finance, you have to meet this criteria to get the $7,500 EV tax credit. If you make more than $300,000 as a married couple, or $225,000 as a head of household, or $150,000 for all other filers, you will not get the $7,500 EV tax credit. Meanwhile, if you lease the Tesla, you're going to get the $7,500 EV tax credit regardless of your income. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, with the lease, you're going to get depreciation protection. So let's say you finance this Tesla CyberTruck, right? Let's assume you qualify for the $7,500 EV tax credit, and let's say 3 to 4 years down the road, you want to sell that truck, or you want to trade it in. And if you put that $9,000 down, guaranteed you're going to have negative equity of $5,000, $6,000, maybe $10,000 or more of negative equity, and you're going to have to eat that negative equity. So with the lease, you have assuming the same down payment, you have a much lower monthly payment. You're protected from the downside of depreciation cost. You're going to get gap insurance included. And so for those reasons, I think leasing the Tesla CyberTruck just makes a lot of financial sense. And if you really want to buy the car at the end of the lease term, you do have that option. But with that being said, I do think there are better lease options out there. Like, do I think this is the best electric truck to lease? No, I think there's some amazing deals to be had on the GMC Sierra EV Denali. I think there's amazing deals to be had on the Chevy Silverado EV and the Ford Lightning EV, depending on where you live. They're giving those things away. So from a pure value perspective, I think all those trucks, if you can negotiate effectively, you're going to be under 1%, whereas you're at 1.37% with the Tesla CyberTruck. But anyways, If you ever want a pre-negotiated lease deal, please be sure to check out DriveMatch.com. It's a company that I co-founded where you can get pre-negotiated lease deals on some awesome cars and get them shipped directly to where you live. But with that, I'm going to call it a video. If you have any questions about leasing or about this Tesla lease or about DriveMatch or leasing in general, let me know in the comments section below. Financial knowledge is power. Please like and follow for more.